Okay, what do I mean by that? What does that mean? Manifestation mindset. Okay. Well, if you want to attract things to you, it's not magic. It's your subconscious. Okay, so first of all, you have to understand that it's subconscious and not magic. Okay, because if you're thinking it's magic, there you go. All right, good morning, good morning. If you're thinking is okay, there you go. Sorry about that. If you're thinking it's magic, okay, we have a chat on this side. Okay, on another platform. We're on 7 platforms every morning. So, and happy Sunday to you guys. Happy Sunday. But if you're thinking that it's magic, okay, it's not magic. It's your subconscious. Okay, so what does that mean? That means 95% of your life is on automatic pilot, your subconscious. Okay, so it's from memory because you don't have to learn how to drive the car every day. You don't have, right? You don't have to learn how to brush your teeth every day. Okay, things like this. They're all committed to your subconscious. Okay, let me give you an idea of how the subconscious works. 95%. Okay, remember that. Okay, so you're going to work Monday through Friday. Okay, and Monday through Friday you follow the same route and you go from your house to your job. Okay, now on Saturday you want to, let's say, go shopping and get groceries. Okay, because you're running errands, things like that, right? And you start out from the house in your car and you start driving to the shopping center. You think you're driving to the shopping center, but you're thinking about other things. So what happens? Well, you're driving, okay? Now, without a subconscious, if you take your mind off the road, you'd get in a crash. But you have a subconscious. So you keep driving, but you're thinking about something else. You're not focusing on what you're doing consciously. And then what happens? Well, you accidentally start driving to work when you meant to drive to the store. Okay, this has probably happened to you. And like maybe 5 minutes in or whatever, right? 5 minutes in or something like that, you go, wait a minute, I'm driving to the store. I'm driving to work. And you correct your path and then you go to the store, right? Because your subconscious was driving the car. Your subconscious was saying, okay, we're going here. Okay. And you're thinking about something else. So while you're thinking about something else, your subconscious is doing what's familiar. Okay. So you do this with more than driving. Good morning, guys. Good morning. I think Jay may join us over here on the chat. Okay, and she may not. She's coming home from a trip today, so she may make it. We're not sure. But anyway, so your subconscious was driving the car. Okay, so I make this mistake all the time. I get in the car, I start thinking of things. Sometimes I'm thinking about a client. Sometimes I'm thinking about something I need to do, and my intention is to drive to the store. And I have to correct myself because I make the wrong turn and I go, and I don't catch it when I'm making the wrong turn. I make the wrong turn first. And then I continue on and I go, wait a minute. I'm driving to, wherever, right? Like I'm not going to the store. I'm going on the subconscious pattern where I normally go. Okay, so your subconscious does that. Now, you can make this work to your advantage. Okay, how do you do that? You program your subconscious. Okay, you have 3 states of awareness in you: conscious, subconscious, superconscious. Okay, now the conscious mind only does 5% of the work in your life. 5%. But you do a lot of things. So 5% is still a lot. But 95% of what you do is unconscious because they call the subconscious mind unconscious. Okay, so it's unconscious. That means that you're not really thinking about it. So it's like that scenario I just gave you, right? You're driving, but you're not driving to the supermarket. You're actually driving to work, but your subconscious knows how to drive the car. And your subconscious is driving you to the most familiar, well-traveled route. And that's what it's like. Okay? Now, your conscious mind picks targets. So your conscious mind establishes, okay, we're doing that, or we're doing this. Okay, so it will establish what it is we're doing or you're doing. Now, a belief is a thought you keep thinking. So when the conscious mind selects a target and you keep thinking about it or you write about it, okay, so affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization on a single topic, it has to happen. It cannot not happen. Okay, but it has to be within reason. I need to say that. Because if it's something that you are not familiar with, something that your subconscious hasn't done yet, like win the lottery or something crazy like that, okay? And I only say crazy, I mean, people have done it, okay? People have done it. But like anything else in life, you have to start small and grow it. It works the same with your subconscious, okay? So you have to maintain this, you have to maintain your affirmations to train your subconscious. Let me show you what that looks like. So I have a, one of my expired ones here. So this is a tablet that I've been through already. So these are affirmations. This is not journaling. Okay, journaling is completely different. Okay, but that's what I do to keep my subconscious in tune. So, some of the questions I get about, writing affirmations, right? Like, how long does this take to write an affirmation and for it to turn out? Well, in 2 weeks, you can feel a shift. You're having glitches? I don't see any glitches here, user. Sorry. Maybe it's the area or service. I hope it clears up. Yeah. Is anyone else having glitches? Let us know on the chat. Sorry, Jay's not here today. She'll be here tomorrow. So as far as your subconscious goes, okay, and getting programs in, right? When you write an affirmation, in about 2 weeks, you will feel a shift, okay? Now, that could be you feel better. That could be you start to notice things. That could be you start to gravitate towards whatever's going on in your affirmation. In 66 days, okay, it takes 66 days minimum to establish a habit, to get into a new habit, okay? Human beings get into habits very easily, but most human beings are convinced that, it's only the bad habits we get into easily. The good habits, are hard to do. No, that's not it at all. Anything in repetition becomes a habit. Okay, and this is why, like, every time I develop a new routine, like right now, I'm on a new routine. And before I went to this beach park and I did my walks and my walk runs, and now I go to the gym, then I do walk runs in my neighborhood. So I had to develop a new routine. It just took me 3 days to get into the new routine, to repeat the new routine. Okay, but my subconscious has been worked on extensively since 2007. So I constantly do it. Okay, I write affirmations like all the time. Whenever I need something, I write an affirmation. Okay, whenever I have a target, like let's say, like the new lease, I just ordered a new car. Okay, and let me show you what I'm talking about. So I create vision boards, and if you want, I'll help you create it too. All you have to do is message me. So this is my vision board for the new car that I ordered, okay? And what I do is I make a vision board as well as write the affirmation, okay? So, and the vision board serves multiple purposes, okay? So one purpose is to focus on exactly what you want. And when your subconscious believes that, okay, that's the target, that's what we're doing, that's where we're going, okay, when your subconscious believes that, what happens is your subconscious starts to create pathways towards your goal, whatever it is. Okay, but you have to start small. So I started this back in 2007. Until now, all I know is I only have new car smell. Okay, that's not a flex. I'm trying to tell you that you can do it too. Okay, but in my case, there was a fear. And the fear in my case was the paradigm that my parents established in my head, right? Don't buy a new car, buy a good used car. Why? Well, because when you drive it off the lot, you lose a whole bunch of money, right? Yeah, kind of, sort of. Okay. But you're not going to feel that loss, especially if you lease it. Okay. And if you have a business, it makes more sense to lease. Okay. I bought 3 new cars before I started leasing. But what I found out, right, buying good used cars is that you only get so much out of it before they start rebuilding themselves. And then it gets really expensive. Okay. New water pump, new radiator, whatever, transmission job, all these things. Okay. And so when I was in training for this, when I was doing my studies for this, okay, it was branded as the law of attraction, the secret. Okay, Rhonda Byrne's The Secret. Now, this is subconscious. It's not witchcraft or black magic or voodoo or anything like that. This is subconscious training. Okay. When I started my journey, so to speak, right? It took me a while. It took me like 2 months. 2 months of visualization, and mostly it was visualization. Okay, I did affirmations, but a lot of visualizing. So that's what this is. This is the visualization part. Okay, so if you put something on your lock screen, that's a target, something that you're pursuing or something that you want. Okay, sometimes I put on, I put pictures of clients there. Okay, and that brings clients. Why? Because it goes into my subconscious, and my subconscious starts to form pathways, okay, to make it happen. Okay, but when I started learning this, right, after 2 months, I was driving down past a new car dealership one day, and I said, I just had this intuitive thought, and you're supposed to follow your intuitive thought. And I said, okay, and I drove right in. And 5 hours later, I drove out with a brand new sports car. And I was totally shocked. I was like, what? Like, it was, I was beside myself. I did not understand what I just did. I'm like, whoa, like, but this is divine guidance. So I'm telling you that God is real, whether you call it God, whether you call it source, whether you call it infinite intelligence, whether you call it higher self, okay? Whether you call it Jesus Christ, Allah, however you believe. I'm not here to tell you how to believe or what to believe. You believe as you wish. But every human being has this power. Every human being has a subconscious. Every human being has the ability to use their awareness, okay, awareness in here, okay, whether you call this energy or a spirit, that's what it is, okay, but you have power from in here. Now, Jesus Christ, Gautama Buddha, Krishna, they all called it the kingdom within. Well, Jesus Christ referred to it as the kingdom within, but Gautama Buddha and Krishna also referred to that. And it's in here. Okay, if you want to call it your soul, your spirit, it's in here. And I know different people have different ways of talking about this. Different people say, well, yeah, well, the soul is different, and they get creative with it, okay? But your being, your energy, your spirit is eternal. You are eternal in here. You create circumstances for yourself in here. Because everything out here reacts to everything in here. Okay, you are so powerful in here. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Hey, Zoe, good morning. Hey, Franco, good morning. PK, good morning, welcome. Michael, good morning, welcome. Velda, good morning. But you are totally powerful in here. And you can attract anything. Okay, but there are steps to go through. So you have the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious states of awareness within you. Everything is inside. It's not outside. Don't go looking for solutions out here. Look for solutions in here. When you change things in here, everything reacts differently. You have a different life experience. You start to experience things that you never thought you would experience. Everything from 2007 till now that I've manifested, or let's say the goals that I've accomplished, I could not have accomplished without this knowledge. It would be impossible. And I know people look at me and they go, well, that's easy for you because you've done all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, well, I accomplished these things because I learned the fundamentals first. Now, if you're going to talk about this like it's some kind of magic, like you rub the magic lamp and it just, car shows up in your driveway kind of thing, that's not the way it works. But everything comes to us from God through others, through other people. So, for example, when I was standing in the car dealership talking to the guy, right? If I would have, let's say, affected the conversation in a way where, maybe I thought, in a condescending manner of him or got sassy with him or let's say it another way, let's say manipulated the situation with my will. Okay? You know how some people come off as, well, I'm the customer and whatever, and they get kind of bossy with people, like that. That's not how I did it. Okay? I was open. Use that. Oh, nice. Wow, that's great, Janice. Welcome, Janice. Good morning. Janice has been through my program right here. Janice is in Colorado. Everybody say hi to Janice. So when I did that, right, I humbled myself. And what does that mean? Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. It's putting other people first. Okay? And so I let the salesperson run the show that day, and he would ask me questions and I would check in intuitively. Okay, so if you want to call it source or God, when he asked me a question, like you want to look at, used cars, and I checked in. And then I said yes, because I was waiting for the intuitive response. And I did that the whole way through until finally I was sitting in the finance office in tears, signing the papers for a $57,000 sports car on signature, no down payment. And I was like, wow, like I couldn't believe I was doing it. It was like I was dreaming, and I had to kind of like stop and absorb the moment. And the lady said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." But I think part of the tears, when I look back, I think part of the tears was because I broke the conditioning. Okay? The gaslighting, the conditioning, the mental conditioning that said, "Oh, if you buy a new car, you'll lose money." And it was conditioning that I had to break. I had to get out of that mold because it was confining. It was limited thinking. It was like this. Okay? And I had to be like this. Okay? I don't put my hand too much because we're on tiny cameras. But anyway, like that. Okay? I had to be open. Hey, hi Sarah. I'm glad you're feeling it. That's so cool. That's so cool. Janice is one of my success stories. She's one of my success stories. And I'm so proud of her. Thank you, Janice. You have unlimited thinking. Perfect. Perfect. Look around you and you'll see the reflection of it. If you have unlimited thinking, then you have unlimited resources. You have unlimited possibilities. You have unlimited choices. You have infinite possibilities. Quantum physics tells us every day they discover a little bit more, a little bit more. So there's not just one way to something. Okay, I'll give you an example. When I started my consultant firm in 2010, it's called VMAC Consultants. You can look it up. It's a thing. But when I started my consultant firm, I consulted. I had a meeting with this guy that I knew at the time, and he had an MBA. And I thought, well, I should meet with him because he has a degree. He went to college for this, right? And I sat down and he goes, no, this is not how that works. It doesn't work that way. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay. No, I dropped out of college. Okay. So I didn't even finish, right? But he was like, no, it doesn't work this way. And I was like, okay. Did I pay attention to him? Yeah, I did. Did I follow his advice? No, I did it my way anyway. Did my company flourish and get a lot of business? Yeah. Okay. Because I made up my mind. And this is subconscious training. Everything is subconscious training. Okay. Everything is mindset. When somebody tells you something is mindset, destroying me. What are you talking about, Clee? Sorry, I hope I'm because I keep buying until I'm broke. Okay, well, if you're broke, then that's not unlimited. So, and balance is the key. Yeah, you're right. I was just gonna say balance, and I looked at your comment down there. Yeah, no, 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 not stingy or greedy. There's a balance. Okay, it's called flow. It's called flow state. Okay, so with abundance, okay, so you're if you're living in abundance, then you have a lot of bills and you have a lot of income. Okay, and like Clee is talking about over here, it's a balance. It's a balance. Okay, I balanced a lot of money like every week, like this, like this, like this, like this, and I try to take a little off the top. Okay, and sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes you have to be patient, and then sometimes there's more left over. Okay, so it just depends. Now, the universal law of rhythm tells you to observe your rhythm. Everything happens in rhythm. So, how you feel happens in rhythm. You ever have those down days, those low energy days? If you pay attention to your low energy days and write them down, you're going to see there's a pattern. Okay? They're called biorhythms. It's a thing, it's a real thing. If you observe your money situation, wherever you're at, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you make, you know, $500 a week or if you make $10,000 a week, it doesn't matter. There is a rhythm. There's going to be a rhythm to your money. But you need to observe it so you know. Okay, like in my companies, what happens is money shifts because sometimes I have a lot of clients due in the beginning of the month, and then sometimes they're due at the end of the month. Okay, so things happen like that where they shift. But if you observe the shifts and if you observe the rhythm, it's more predictable. So as far as money goes, money is an energy, okay? But when money starts to recede, when the tide starts to recede, it starts to go out, okay? Money starts to slow down. What do most people do? Right? They're like, oh my God, like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Where's the money going to come from? Right? Okay. Do the opposite. Watch comedies, listen to music, do things that make you feel good. Because when you produce or project positive emotions on the field that exists, okay, out here, it will return it to you in kind. Your power is in here, and there is an energy out here. And this is not magic, okay? Because the steps happen through intuitive thought, or let's say energetic thought, because everything in the universe is energy. So the subconscious, so the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. With the superconscious is another word for God or consciousness. But the superconscious is what you make an impression on. The superconscious will look and see what's in your subconscious. Okay, so how does that work? Well, we were talking yesterday, we talked about nervous system regulation. Your nervous system has memory. When you go through trauma, when you go through bad stuff, and when you go through good stuff, it registers in your parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system and your sympathetic nervous system. Either way, okay? And when that happens, it stores it as memory because you have a subconscious, because you have a memory. Now, things will remind you of it and trigger those memories. then what happens? Then the trauma surfaces when you start to remember it. Okay, now trauma by definition is an emotional event that sticks out that was bad. Okay, the same thing happens for memories that were good. Okay, so if you think of the best thing that ever happened to you, you know, ask your subconscious, what's the best thing that ever happened to me? You may not get the answer right then and there, but you may be washing the dishes one day or taking a walk or walking the dog or doing whatever, and then it'll hit you and you go, oh, okay. But emotions control the subconscious because emotion, when you use emotion with any intention, with any thought into your subconscious, it leaves an imprint in your subconscious. The trauma doesn't surface if you remain positive, right? Yeah, so what happens is with the vocalization exercise that we do, the trauma starts to diminish. It doesn't go away, it diminishes so you can manage it. I work with PTSD victims, veterans, military, former military people, and they have significant trauma. And what happens is some of them, sorry, I'm addressing the chat. Some of them can't go into a shopping center because there's too many people, and they start to panic because there's so many people, because they're suspecting like something, there's an enemy kind of thing. And so they start to get panic attacks. What happens with the vocalization exercise is it minimizes it. So they still get alarmed, but they don't panic. So, they'll go into a shopping mall and they'll start to feel, like a little alerted like that. That's your amygdala, by the way. Okay. And what happens is your amygdala will start feeding you negative what ifs. What if it's like this? What if it's like that? What if this? What if that? What if this? What if that? And all those what ifs will be rooted in negativity. So what happens is when they start getting like that, because they've been through the vocalization exercises, they can control it. They can say, no, 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 like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And they take some deep breaths, that kind of thing, and get settled, and it doesn't bother them half as much as it used to. So I've worked with a lot of PTSD. In fact, if you look on Here For You Life Coaching on Google, we have reviews, and some of them are military people, and they talk about their PTSD and how it minimized. I also we also have a voice school where I teach voice, and there's some people on there, military as well, that talk about the diminishment of anxiety. So the vocalization exercise gets rid of anxiety. So our process is affirmations, meditation, vocalization. That's what gets rid of everything pretty quick, and then visualization. So just briefly, if I run through this thing, affirmation. Okay, start with this: I am so happy and grateful now that I'm confident. Thank you. Okay, now you have to write that down, and you have to write it for 66 days to begin. Okay, why 66 days? Because it takes 66 days to form a new habit. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, I formed a bad habit. It didn't take me that long. Okay, well, we're talking about a subconscious program that will repeat automatically. Okay, and just in case you're wondering, it's just as easy to form good habits as bad habits. Habits are habits. Your subconscious cannot distinguish between a good habit or a bad habit. Okay? It's just repetition. It's just getting it going. Okay? So when you do your affirmation, okay? I am so happy and grateful now that I'm confident. Thank you. Now, do that every morning when your brain is in theta state. That means relaxed state. When you first wake up, before coffee, before you get out of bed, just keep a tablet by your nightstand. Okay? And just leave it there and then write it first thing in the morning. Now you're going to speak it out loud, which is part of the vocalization process. Okay? But it's not half as effective as the vocalization exercise that we do. But you speak it out loud every evening when you're fully relaxed, your brain is in theta state, and you're ready to turn off the light and go to bed. Okay. And in 2 weeks, you will start to feel a shift. You'll feel better. You'll feel different. And you go, wow, yeah, I don't know what it is, but I feel different. I feel better. Okay. Now, meditation. What is that for us? Well, for us, we have our own meditation. Okay. And there's certain things that you can say in meditation that will actually help you. Okay. Now, gratitude is one of the things. Okay. Let's say, for example, you're trying to meditate, but you cannot sit still. Okay. A lot of people can't. Great. Yeah, that'll happen. So, anyway, yeah, let's, okay. There we go. All right. Okay. There we go. All right. So, um, if you're doing meditation and you cannot sit still, because a lot of people have that problem, they tell me they have that challenge, right? And they go, "Why? I can't sit still. I start thinking about all these things. My mind is just racing." Start saying thank you when you do that, or when you feel that. Just say thank you. Okay. So in your meditation, while you're sitting still with your distractors closed, okay, we call these distractors because it distracts you into a different reality. Your eyes take you into a different reality. Okay, I'll explain that some other time, but that's what happens. The data that goes into your brain is assimilated, it's put together by your brain. Okay, so things that you look at go into your brain as data. Okay, and it goes into your subconscious if you start believing what you're seeing. Okay, and if you believe it, or let's say it another way, if you repeat it into your subconscious with emotion, it becomes a belief faster. Okay, awareness purges that stuff you buried. Yeah, 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 Janice. Yep, yep. So all of the things that you suppress, okay, it's actually your voice that opens the basement and starts letting it come out. Okay, and in meditation, if you say thank you, or Hawaiian ho'oponopono, okay, for those of you not familiar, it's I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Okay, but when you do this in meditation, you begin to experience the expansiveness of all that is. Okay, so praying is speaking to God, meditation is listening to God. You need to do both. Okay, so say your prayers or intentions depending on how you believe. Okay, if you're a Christian, I have a lot of Christians on my account. Okay, so if you're a Christian, it's prayers. Say your prayers. Say the Lord's Prayer first. First and foremost, the Lord's Prayer. Okay, then your meditation. So you sit still and listen. And when you listen, you can ask. So ask, believe, receive. You can ask, and if you believe in what you are asking, if you are open to what you are asking, if you are willing to receive, you will receive. Okay? When I say willing, I mean no resistance. Okay, for example, because yesterday we were talking about nervous system regulation. Because if in your nervous system you have some kind of memory of some sort of trauma, let's say the trauma was about a dog. Let's say you got bit by a dog when you were a kid. And let's say you're trying to get over that fear, but every time you get around a dog, you start, hey, it's a dog, that kind of thing. Okay? I'm just giving you an example. You can write affirmations that say, I am so happy and grateful now that I love dogs. Thank you. Or I'm so happy and grateful now that dogs love me. Thank you. You can do that, but it's not going to mean anything. You can pray to God, God, please have me not be afraid of dogs. Okay? Your prayers will not work. Why is that? Because in your subconscious, in your parasympathetic nervous system, in your sympathetic nervous system, trauma is still stored from the dog bite. Okay? So what do? Well, you work on that first. Okay? You work on that process first. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Out of all of those four, it's the vocalization process that will open you up first. Literally open you up. Okay, so your voice does all of these things. Think energy, frequency, vibration, and velocity. The things that Nikola Tesla told you. Okay, energy, frequency, and vibration. He said if you want to understand the universe better, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, because everything is energy in the universe. Everything. Nothing is static in the universe. Okay? And because nothing is static and because everything is moving, energy can be transmuted. Okay? It can't be extinguished. And this is good news for you. Why? Because you're eternal in here. Your energy in here is eternal. One day your body will set it free and you will go. But while you're here, your body is your physical interface into the physical world. There's the physical and the spiritual. And the spiritual has command over the physical all day long, 365 days a year. So you have authority. You have spiritual authority over your physical body. Okay, like right now, I'm moving my fingers. Okay? My subconscious knows exactly how to move my fingers. Okay, these are things that you learn between when you're born and 7 years old. Okay, this is your first part of your first paradigm. And whatever happened to you up until the time you were 7 years old has been imprinted in your subconscious. That's your first initial paradigm. Most people don't change the entire paradigm, but they change quite a bit of it over time. Some of it gets changed naturally. Okay, a belief is a thought you keep thinking. Okay, so a lot of things out here in the physical world have conditioned you, even without your knowledge, just by simply repeating the process. I'm talking about commercials. I'm talking about music. You know, when you listen to the radio and you hear a song for the first time and you go, it's all right? And then you hear it again and again and again and again and again. And pretty soon, you know, I kind of like that song. You see? Because now it's becoming familiar. Because now repetition is happening. It's the same way with commercials. Okay, so this is scientific. We know that in 2 weeks of hearing something over and over and over, you're going to start liking it. Or at least you will try it. And that's how advertising works. I was in advertising for around advertising and in advertising for 40 years in the broadcast industry. So I did multiple professions. I was in the entertainment industry, but I wasn't a part of the entertainment industry. I was in advertising, okay? I was in the broadcast industry, but I don't get recognized for any of that at all. At all. But if you go online and you put my name in any browser or AI, you'll see it all. You'll see everything. Okay. I'm not trying to flex. I'm just saying that if you wanted to do 4 simultaneous careers, you could do it too. Okay. But I had to manage it. Okay. And if you're talking management, okay, it's just time management. If you look up time management and look up block time, that will help you. Organize your day into block time. That will really, really help you. Hey, Miss Sunshine. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. Hey, Max. Good morning, you guys. Okay, now, out of your 3 states of awareness, your conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, when these 3 work in synergy and work in alignment, you get manifestation. Okay, when you marry intention with emotion, you get manifestation. Okay, let me say this another way. When when you're excited about something, it goes into your subconscious as a program. And your subconscious wakes up and goes, "Oh, we're doing this? Okay." And then it starts to repeat the process. Okay? It commits it to memory. This is why you don't have to learn how to drive the car every morning. It's automatic. This is why when, like I said earlier, I was telling you the story about when you normally drive the same way to work Monday through Friday. Saturday you want to go to the store and you accidentally find yourself, okay? You kind of wake up, okay? You're accidentally driving to work and you go, "Oh, wait a minute, what am I doing?" Right? And then you correct the course and you go to the store. Okay? So this is good news, okay? But the majority of people don't do subconscious reprogramming. I know, and it sounds fancy, right? Reprogramming. What is it? It's just directing your subconscious to make it do what you want to do so you get the results that you want to get. That's what manifestation is. Doing things that are conducive to your goal. Okay, conducive is a fancy word. Doing things that are in alignment with what you want. If something is in alignment with what you want, that means there's a direct path to what you want. Okay, it's in alignment. If it's out of alignment, sort of like a car. You know, when the wheels are not aligned, the car is kind of like rattling like this, like it's going like this, right? Okay, if you're going like this and there's no alignment between you and your goal, then sometimes you're going to hear, you're going here, you're going here, you're going here, you're going here, like that. Okay, in a car, it kind of goes fast like that, right? Because you're moving faster. It's like the rudder on a boat. I always use that because it's easy for people to understand. When you put the rudder on the boat can go here, it could go there, it could go there, there. But if there's no rudder, the boat kind of just goes like this, and it's just aimless. And that's the way people live their lives most of the time. Okay? But the prison is here. And you can ask Janice, okay? Because Janice was my client. Once a client, always a friend. She's still my buddy. But you can ask Janice over here, right? Because she's on the chat. The prison is here. And all I do is unlock the prison and set you free. What does that mean? Oh, that sounds that sounds like a big job, right? No, it's not a big job. Janice worked with me for 2 months. 2 months, and she's good. Okay? I'm not going to tell you her story because that's not my business to put it out there. Okay? But I will tell you that you are the one holding yourself back from whatever it is you want to do. Okay? Because if you've been used to, let's say, suppression, self-suppression, okay? So self-suppression means holding things in. Self-suppression means, yeah, there you go. Self-suppression means holding yourself back. Self-suppression means, I really want to do this, but, I really want to go to the beach, but it's probably too much of a hassle. I probably wouldn't, right? Okay? Let me run another scenario by you. Let's say you wanted to do a business. Okay? Now, intuitive thought comes from the right hemisphere of the brain. Logic, okay, comes from the left hemisphere of the brain. The left hemisphere of the brain rationalizes you because it's logic. It'll rationalize you out of your dreams. How does that work? Well, you get the intuitive thought. Hey, you know what? I think I'll do my own business. Maybe I can sell stuff. Okay? Your left rational logic brain, okay, the left hemisphere, is going to start rationalizing you out of that idea. Why? Because the left brain will go, well, you tried this before and it didn't work. Nobody in the family has a business. The business is hard work. I don't think you want to work that hard. Okay? So you'll have all of these thoughts, and they'll be logical thoughts that will rationalize you out of your goals or out of your dreams. Most people don't live their dreams. They dream their dreams. They think their dreams. I've lived my dreams. Pull my name up on any browser. Pull my name up on any browser and you'll see everything I was fantasizing about when I was 12 years old. I just didn't know how to pull it off. But in 2007, when I went down the rabbit holes, I started learning. After that, boom, 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 boom. Dream after dream after dream after dream. This is my last dream right here. Being an international life coach. This is it. This is the last one. Because after this, there's nothing really. Actually, when I left entertainment, okay, entertainment was the big goal. I've always been teaching. I've been teaching for 37 years. And I've been teaching this stuff since 2010. But when I left entertainment in 2019, which was lucky because the next year, everybody left entertainment, whether they liked it or not, right? Because the pandemic came. But in 2019, I left entertainment. It just wasn't fun anymore. And I had done everything there is to do. I have 9 albums on iTunes. I have a single on iTunes. I mean, I'm not flexing. I'm just saying you can check it out. You can check me out. Okay? You can research me. I'm not just saying these things. I've actually done these things. I've actually done a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Okay? But they were all my dreams. I dreamed of recording. I dreamed of being on stage. I dreamed of, doing video soundtracks and all kinds of stuff. I just did a lot of stuff. I wrote the most jingles in the state of Hawaii. My company, VMAC Consultants. You can look it up. VMAC Consultants. It's a thing. But my policy was, if it's not my dream, I don't want to do it. Because when I learned this law of attraction thing, right, I go, oh, this is subconscious? And I started doing affirmations. I only did it for 2 months first. And I said, if this doesn't work, I'm never, ever, ever doing this again. Because I'm just that way. I'm stubborn like that. And I did it for 2 months. And when I went back and looked at all my affirmations, I'm like, whoa, I couldn't believe it. Not everything came out. Not everything. But the majority of things happened. And I was like, whoa, this is freaky. Like, I was just like, whoa. And so I still do it till today. I still do it. I practice it and I preach it. Or let's say it another way, I practice it and I teach it. Okay, because it works. It's real. It's your subconscious. It's not magic. There's not a genie, a law of attraction genie. You rub the lamp. It doesn't work that way. You are the genie in here. You're the most sophisticated thing that God ever made or source ever made or whoever you believe, however you believe. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. But you are the highest form of intelligence that we know of on the planet. And most people don't think so. Because most people have been made to feel that they don't matter. Okay? Either by, from governments to whatever. Some religions, some, I'm not saying all. Okay? But a lot of things, a lot of systems make you feel insignificant. And a lot of it is for control. I mean, it is. It really is. Don't believe those things. You have to believe in the kingdom. Jesus Christ said the kingdom is within. You have to believe in here. You can't put your faith in an inanimate object or a system or a diploma or a degree or a profession or a title or a position. You have to put your faith in here because God lives in here. God doesn't live out there. The only thing out there is nature and things from someone else is in here. That's all that's out there. That's the only thing that's out there. And if somebody else can put something out there, so can you. Okay? I have 4 companies. I built it one by one by one. And you know what? The how is God's job. I did not know how to do my first company. I did not know how to do the second or the third or the fourth. I did not know. But if you put my name in any search engine, any AI, you'll see my companies, you'll see everything. They all exist. And I haven't the slightest idea how I did it. I just know I took the steps and everything fell together. And this is because the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious working in alignment is all you need to learn. Okay, so the conscious mind picks the target. The subconscious, when the subconscious learns in repetition, it starts repeating in a program. The superconscious works with what's in the subconscious. So in other words, if you don't believe in what you're doing in your subconscious, God will not be able to help you. Your prayers will not work. That's what we were talking about yesterday. Okay? With your nervous system regulation. If your nervous system, which has memory, and it's stored in here, okay, that's why we have the vocalization exercise. But if your nervous system has those issues stored and you haven't addressed them or gotten rid of them, whatever you pray for, and this nervous system information is opposite of that, you're not going to get your prayers. You can write all the affirmations you want. You're not going to get that. It's not going to happen because in your subconscious you believe otherwise. And that's why you need the alignment. Conscious, subconscious, superconscious. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. But when you aim all these 4 pillars at one thing or one target, okay, whatever it is, it could be a relationship, it could be a job. The only thing about relationships I got to add, okay, is that you cannot violate another person's free will. So if someone doesn't like you, but you like them, you can't do anything about that. Okay, good news is there's tons of people out there, okay, and I believe there's someone for everyone. But that's just me, I just believe that, okay? But whether it's a relationship or a job or an inanimate object, okay, something you like something material, okay? I know a lot of religious people, they'll tell me, oh no, but that material things are no good. You can't do that. And those religious people are broke. Why? Because that's what they believe in their subconscious. They're suffering from limited thinking. Okay, but there's a process for that. And it's written in the Bible. Seek first the kingdom, okay? The kingdom in here. You're not your body, you're not your name, you're that spirit that lives in here. Seek first the kingdom and all else will be added unto you. And what Jesus Christ was saying was that you focus on in here, you make the changes in here, and everything else is automatic. Why? Because God lives in here, because you have that power in here, because you can manifest in here. But when you're focused out here, and you put your faith in something out here, whether it's the diploma, whatever, the college, the system, the whatever it is, and you put your faith in that, that becomes mammon. And in the Bible, it says you cannot serve God and mammon. So I don't serve mammon. I don't serve inanimate objects. I don't serve an institution. I don't serve a process. I don't serve those things. I don't serve systems. I live in a system. Oh, there she is. Hi, Jake. I live in a system. I partake in a system, but I'm not of the system. I don't put my faith in the system. In the Bible, it says, pay unto Caesar what is Caesar's. What does that mean? Well, if you're in a system, that means pay taxes. You're going to pay taxes. In other words, you have to abide by the rules in the physical world. Okay? But if you focus on the spiritual world, you add all of that unto you. Like things just come. Do you have bills? Oh, yeah. But you have the money to pay the bills. And like I said earlier, it's balance. Okay? Because if you have abundance, you're going to have an abundance of bills. Okay? That's the bad news. The good news, you're going to have an abundance of money. And it's not like the money's going to pop in your bank account. You're going to have millions of dollars in there. No. The way that it balances out is when you need money, money shows up. Money will come. Why? Because we're all connected. And everything comes to us from God or source or universe, however you want to say it. But we're all the same inside. But everything comes to us from God through others, to other people. And that's why when you start taking the steps, the doors open. When you start taking the steps, the right people come into play. You meet the right people. And most of the time, you'll call it a coincidence. I'm here to tell you that God is real. So whether you call it God, source, universe, Allah, Jesus Christ, whatever you call it, okay? But you're a spiritual being in here. And you can attract everything into your world. Sarah, thank you, Sarah. Take care, Sarah. Oops, wait, I have my pen in my hand. There you go. There you go, Sarah. That's my client, Sarah, in the United Kingdom. I have clients in the United Kingdom, in Europe. I have a client in Ireland. I have clients in the United States. In fact, yesterday I was with my client in Alabama. I have a client in Alabama. I'm so proud of that guy. Like, he is healing quickly with somatic healing through his voice. And he's on his second month, I believe. Yeah, he's on his second month. And he's doing so well. And his goal is to get off his medicine. And I told him we don't make any medical claims. However, okay, I gotta say the however part. So many of my clients have gotten off their anxiety meds and depression meds. And anxiety is a thing. Okay, this right here, these things create anxiety. Okay, screen time, whether it's this or tablet or laptop. Okay, screen time increases anxiety. Okay, just so you're aware of that. Okay, but we take it away with the human voice. Okay, through energy, frequency, vibration, and velocity. Anyway, and if you'd like, I have a half-hour slot. I have one last half-hour slot available. If you'd like to come and you want to try it for yourself, you can come and try it. Go to hereforyoulifecoaching.com, or on this platform over here on TikTok, you can go to the bio and click in. But you can try it first and you'll see what it does. And then if you want to book, you can book. If you don't want to book, that's perfectly fine. But I will give you some useful information. And whatever it is that your challenge is, I can help you with that. So don't worry about it, because we're all human beings in here. We're all spiritual beings in here. And when you really realize the power that you have, because you're a co-creator with God and because God lives in here, you're going to be amazed. You're going to be amazed, and I will show you. Anyway, so I'm Junior from Here For You Life Coaching. All right, you guys, I'm going to, we're going to say goodbye to our partners on Streamlabs. We're on 7 platforms across the world